Hello and welcome to the Berklee Online Open Mic Series. My name is Moyes, and I'm the Director of Admissions here. And I've taken a lot of classes, several with this gentleman over here, and composition, arranging, orchestration, and performance. And his name is Andrew Joslyn, and he does all of those things I listed much better than I do. And I'm really happy to have him here to have a quick conversation.
Yep, very glad to be here.
Yeah. So I guess it would be great if you could just give a quick overview of who you are. What do you do?
So my name is Andrew Joslyn. Originally a violinist, but I'm also a songwriter, orchestrator, composer. I've worked in almost every facet of the music business I can think of. Worked at a record label for 3 years as an A&R manager. I have done a lot of touring. 2/3 of this year I've been touring with Macklemore Ryan Lewis as their kind of like music director and violinist performing live. And I'm right now on tour with David Bazan from Pedro the Lion and touring our joint album that we just put out with my string quartet, the Passenger String Quartet. And then I also teach a little bit. I have my own production studio in Seattle, Washington, so I've got my hands a little bit in production, mixing, and learning all that. So yeah, I'm kind of a Renaissance man when it comes to a lot of this industry.
That's great. So yeah, you're on tour right now. You told me earlier that at last night's show you made a grown man cry.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, it's interesting because it's like if you're familiar with Pedro the Lion and David Bazan's material, it's emotionally complex, but it can be quite bleak. And it's when you put strings to that, it just amplifies the emotional content. So I think, it's hard night after night. We're doing 6.5 weeks of this tour, and I mean, by the last song, we're all kind of like getting a little teary-eyed. So, the guy just followed through with his natural inclinations. So it's just funny. We're like, oh, stay with the pain. It's okay. You'll make it through.
Strings can have that effect for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. And I with my arranging, I milk that because I love that kind of just pull at your heartstrings.
Yeah.
Not sentimental, like not overtly sentimental, but stuff that just like those dissonant tones that just like. Finally, when it releases, you're like, oh God, thank you. So, I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess, with music.
A little extra vibrato and it all goes.
Yeah, right.
Another step further. So you're touring a lot. When I was looking at your tour dates, it seemed like 29 out of 30 days you were on the road.
Yeah.
How do you have time to write or create music when you're performing so much?
Well, this tour specifically, we're in a 15-passenger van. It's just 6 of us. It's David Bazan's driving. We have Chris Colbert, who is our front of house, and our tech guy. He rides he's passenger seat, and then the rest of the quartet, we're all in the back. So we all kind of have like our little set stations, and I bring out my laptop, my noise-canceling headphones, a little keyboard, and I'm just writing. So it's like, we're driving from like Phoenix to Austin, Texas. So it's like, all right, we got a really long time. I'm going to try and knock out a couple arrangements. So the cool thing about this tour is it's like when I'm, especially for my quartet, they're such stellar sight readers. I can just bring out new music and be like, hey, let's play this for the show. So we actually debuted like 3 new pieces this tour alone.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool. And it kind of means the show is continually evolving, like in the tour, which I don't think there's any other tour like that I've ever heard of. So,
right.
And it's great because it's like all we're doing is going back through David Bazan's old material, rehashing it out. So it's like I just finished like of Up and Coming Monarchs from his Control album, and then there's other. He's got such a discography. It's like so much back catalog. It's just great to go through. So for the fans, they're just like, thank you for doing that song. And it's funny because it's like now my Twitter feed, people are like, you got to do this song, you got to do this, or you got to arrange for this song, because it's like, it completely reopens old favorites.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know, it's really fun for me because I'm a huge fan. So it's like this crazy fanboy thing, like working with a musical idol. So anyway, it's awesome.
That's really cool. How'd you get involved with that? Being having the opportunity to play with somebody that you're such an admirer of.
Man, a stroke of luck. In 2012, I got hired to do a gig. So there was a show in Tacoma, Washington, that's just south of Seattle, and the promoter called me and was like, "Hey, we want to do kind of a special concert where we bring in a couple of bands, but the gimmick or the selling point is we'll have a string quartet back, everybody." And it was in a cathedral, so pretty unplugged, pretty like, just room mics. There wouldn't be any directs or anything. And so I had already written arrangements for the first two opening bands. This guy named Kevin Sir, and then this band called Pretty Broken Things from Seattle, and David Bazan was the headliner. And the promoter's like, "Well, I can't guarantee anything, but it'd be really, I think it'd be cool if you guys partnered up and just for some songs." And my brain was melting because I was just like, "It's David Bazan!" Like, that would be rad. So we chatted. So I chatted with David on the phone, and at first he was really skeptical. He's like, "I don't know who you are. Like, I have no idea how good your arranging is." And he's like, his experience with strings was like, well, they're pitchy, they're terrible in the studio. Most classical players don't know how to improvise. They don't know how to play in a contemporary format. So he's just like, "Here's 4 songs. Just send me some demos back and let's see how it goes." And then I worked my ass off for like 24 hours, just arranged 4 songs, did like demo recordings of each, just like record them live and send him them back. And he's just like, "Okay, we got a show." And then we played the show, probably made some people cry there too. And no, but we both got really drunk. And at the end of the night, he's like, "We got to make an album." And and at this point, I'm freaking out. I'm just like, that's the best news I've ever heard in my life. So, but it was funny because all of a sudden, I got his number and I'm like texting him and trying to call him for like a year and a half. I didn't really hear anything. I totally thought I got punked. Like, I thought it was like the universe telling me like, "Yeah, you should probably do something else," like. But then one day he calls me and he's like, "I got a tour. Here's the plans for recording the album. This is the breakdowns. This is how it's gonna all go. You ready?" And it's just like, oh my God. So
you didn't hear from him for a year and a half?
Yeah, no, I did at all.
And then that happened?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was like this flood of information all of a sudden. So, it was a trip. So so that was really interesting. The kind of that process of working with David, and since then we talk regularly, thankfully, as opposed to like once every like 6 months.
Yeah.
So